Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And right now, I have a couple of Ripple XRP lawsuit updates for you guys, as two very interesting things just came out. So, first of all, a couple hours ago, 2 hours ago to be exact, I was eating some nice dinner and I saw that there was an update on the Ripple v SEC lawsuit, and this is what it reads. Judge Nedburn denies Garlinghouse's motion to compel production of the Estabrook notes, and the court basically states that Estabrook notes are no different from the notes the court previously found to be protected by the privilege. So again, for all of you that do not know, these Estabrook notes are basically a discussion between Brad Garlinghouse and an SEC member. To be a little bit more specific, a discussion between Brad Garlinghouse and Mr. Alan Roisman, and then a lawyer, or a attorney, I think the way they call it, Matthew Estabrook, took a couple of notes about that discussion, and the fact that the SEC is trying to hold these notes back is showcasing to us that it might have some important, critical information, specifically around the fact that they never told Ripple, for example, that it was a security, and they never thought so. And so the lawyer could have also then written down, I think it's a security, I think we should tell him. Or exactly the opposite, I don't think it's a security, or something along those lines. It could be inside, basically. We want those notes for that specific reason. Now, the SEC's fact gathering from third parties is not an inherently privileged activity. But having reviewed Estabrook's notes, I find that they could reveal to Garlinghouse the SEC's internal thought processes during his meetings with Commissioner Roisman. The privilege applies. So, once more, this is exactly the reason that the judge is now saying, no. Because straight at the bat, it's still privileged because it might have some SEC internal thinking, which is not necessarily what has to be handed over to Ripple's side, which is, from a certain perspective, logical. It's a little bit of a game breaker in the sense that we want Ripple to, of course, see as much as possible, and we want the SEC to be as open as possible, but it's not that bad. Now, there's a couple other things. I think about a minute ago, something else came out. I'm seeing it pop up my phone about 40 seconds ago. Let's quickly refresh this. One sec. Okay, no, after double checking it, it's about this 2 hour ago update, and because I have a second Twitter that's logged in, it basically gave me the notification later because it's like a highlight, something like that, so it doesn't matter. But that's the first big update that came out. A little bit later, this came out. Court denies the Ripple defendant's motion to strike the Metz report, reopens discovery until, oh no, my days, until May 13th to redepose Dr. Metz. SEC ordered to pay reasonable expenses regarding filing the motion and regarding deposing Metz. So if you guys don't remember, Dr. Metz is a expert. At least he had part of this expert report. And he basically wanted to add an additional, The court criticized the SEC, finding that the SEC had conducted itself improperly by serving an unauthorized supplemental report on the last day of discovery, but declines to strike the Metz supplemental report. I'm not exactly sure why, but let's see what a couple of lawyers are thinking. And again, what this is about is an additional report talking about what an expert thought that was kind of contradictory. They added it the last day, because it's basically like an addition or a change to it all, which was a little bit contra normal. We have John Dean, who is sharing a couple of different things today. First of all, he said earlier today, spoke with Crypto Wendy on her show, and we discussed the importance of the lawsuit and the fact, or the important impact the SEC victory could have on altcoins, including ETH. If I were an ETH holder, which I am, this would concern me, which is logical, which is why I describe it so often. After reading through, this is a very interesting part, but I want to leave it for the end if I do not forget, so stick around for that. What he said a little bit later was this: I admit I got this very wrong in regards to the Estabrook notes, because I predicted the judge would order the notes to be produced. I believed she would find the notes privileged, but pierce the privilege because Garlinghouse has no other way of obtaining the evidence, and because it was likely, unlike the SBI meeting, exculpatory. The judge disagreed, finding this meeting no different than the meeting with the SBI. She is basically saying since Brad was present at the meeting, he can testify to exactly what was said and any impact it had on him and Ripple. Without reviewing the notes, it's hard to truly evaluate. So, once more to make it clear, what she's basically saying is, you, Brett Garlinghouse, were there. SEC side were there. Since you were there, why would you need the notes from the lawyer? Because you know everything that they said to you. If you want to get those notes, then all you're doing is looking at SEC internal policy, which you have no right to see, basically. And I understand that from a certain perspective, which is why I'm not too concerned or too amazed by this. It's just a little bit annoying because you want to know exactly what was the lawyer thinking about the situation, as it's quite relevant, but hey, it's not my lawsuit. Then regarding those same notes, this was said as well. Just talk to the inimitable John Dean, who gave me this take on the development. I have to assume there's nothing in the notes that are so great for Rip or Brad that he can't testify to. I believe if the notes were helpful, she would have pierced the privilege, so most likely this is not a big loss whatsoever. Ripple wasn't relying heavily on those notes anyway, so it's not a huge loss, to be honest, is what Crypto Wolf says, and I can kind of testify to that as well, that I believe that. Again, I'm not a legal advisor, not a lawyer, so I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I'm thinking after updating on this lawsuit for like a year and a half. Now, regarding that additional expert report, which again was a little bit weird, Anders had to say, I think the Metz report will actually hurt the SEC since Ripple will be able to easily disprove the arguments made, and thus the SEC can't prove the efforts of others in the Howey test. Probably why they tried to sneak it in last day, knowing it's weak and can't be defended. The SEC seems to like that, like the lawsuit itself. Moon says there's something wrong with the document. Philly says, John, will this push the SJ timeline a month, or will these things happen concurrently? I think the latter. I expect motion to be filed in June. Deadline for this is the 4-hour this 4-hour deposition is May 13th. This won't cause any further delay. And yeah, there's a lot of shenanigans, but nothing too crazy, nothing too bad here, as it won't delay the lawsuit further. It's just that officially, discovery is open until May 13th, but it's going to happen in the background whilst the rest is happening as well. Little fun picture right here. XP community lawsuit documents, James Phelan. Literally everybody uses James Phelan as like our central source for these lawsuit documents. It's kind of funny because I'm not gonna lie, it is my like go-to source. If he doesn't post it, it hasn't happened, And if he posts it, it's like it's fact. So funny enough, Jeremy Ogan also has an opinion. He has a couple. All right. Okay. So let's see. Regarding the Estabrook notes once more. Everybody's talking about those notes, not about the second update. I expect the SEC to win the motion and agree with the judge insofar as he reviewed the notes and applied the DPP factors. Also, as I tweeted back in February, I don't care too much. Garlinghouse is on the call and he can testify about what was said, uncontroverted. So, again, quote, which means that the SEC has no evidence at all about the meeting, but can only argue that Garlinghouse's testimony is self-serving, and all testimony is self-serving. That's very weak times 2 weak sauce. By which I mean to say, whatever the judge rules, the SEC is already dead here. Okay. And he says, why fight this uphill battle? 1, because Ripple wasn't 100% sure what was in those notes, and so it was a chance worth taking. And 2, these are notes that the SEC found after the fact, and it makes the SEC look sloppy and bad, and you always want to highlight that to the judge. Yeah, fair enough, right? I agree with that as well. So it was just worth fighting the battle, even though you really didn't necessarily want to gain anything, just fighting the battle for the sake of battle. And we've talked about it before with how the SEC does it too. They're just fighting every battle about anything because that's what the whole lawsuit stuff is about, really. From one perspective, that's like a flaw in the legal system, because if you're fighting any battle just for the sake of battling, just for the sake of looking or making your opponent look a little bit worse, from some perspective, it's really stupid. At the end of the day, that's the way it was designed, and from a certain perspective, if you're pointing out that one other party is doing floppy or sloppy work, is that a bad thing? I'm not sure why not. And then last but not least, John Deeden said, I'm getting a lot of DMs on what happens next with the Ripple case. This Friday, the SEC and Ripple are expected to file a joint proposed scheduling order for Judge Torres. It is likely to contain a deadline to submit any Daubert challenges related to expert testimony. It should also include a deadline to submit summary judgment motions and a date to respond to each summary judgment motion. That means the SEC and Ripple are likely to meet and confer this week, unless they already have, to see if they can agree on a scheduling. All we know so far is that Ripple was pushing for mid-May. I think the parties will agree to an early June deadline for motions with responses due by the end of June. If they can't agree, each side informs the judge of their respective position, and the judge sets the date. There could be a date reserved for the ability to supplement the briefs based on what happens with the Hinman emails and documents. Usually, each side files pre-motion letters to the court outlining which motions they seek to file and ask the court for permission. I have no idea whether that practice will continue or whether the parties ask the court to suspend those local rules and set dates for each motion. Please understand that this is me surmising, as I have no inside information. Okay, surmising is a word I've not heard before. Remember, guys, not a native English speaker, and I'm always honest with these things because I like to learn, it's not a bad thing. Let me quickly look it up. For all of you that do not know, surmise, the verb. No, okay. Suppose that something is true without having evidence to confirm it. He surmised that something must be wrong. Okay, it's basically to expect, guess, conjecture. Okay, suspect, deduce, infer. Yeah, okay, fair enough. It's just okay, nice, easy. And to be honest with you, I think that's everything for right now. All right, those are the most important parts of today's update by far. The Dr. Metz situation, not really that interesting. The whole situation of today is not necessarily interesting. It's a bigger update because these are actually, not just, a little bit of a delay or anything like that. It's just like some real judge decision. So that is, quote unquote, bigger. But they're not anything crazy in a positive or negative way. So let us see. All right, next decisions are going to be kind of rather shortly here. So pay close attention to the lawsuit. Things are finally starting to ramp up as a couple of deadlines have been set in place. And we're finally starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. But most likely, it's still going to take a long time. And at the end of the day here, all I want to say real quick as well is that I have a 2,500 XRP giveaway running. And I'm going to be posting the Gleam about it tomorrow. All right, I've been stalling it for a little bit because I keep thinking, okay, how am I going to do this? What is perfect? But I should just start it tomorrow at least, and then we'll see exactly how many people we give it away to. We can decide later once people actually enter and we actually have it set in stone. So people can stop asking me if a giveaway winner has been picked because nope, not yet. And I put it on Twitter just now. Let me quickly show you guys to quickly back it up that it's now been posted. So now I can't go back on my word anymore. Let's quickly go to my tweets. This is not my Twitter. Go to my Twitter, you'll see right here, my 2,500 XP giveaway winner has not been picked yet. It'll be a Gleam campaign. I'll post the link to enter tomorrow on Twitter and YouTube. Let me know how many winners we should split it over. So you can put it down below as well, how many people you think we should split it over, like 10, 100. 100 is a lot of work for me though. So I'd prefer to do like maybe max 25 or maybe even just 5 or something. But if it really needs to be, if everybody says let's do over 100, also good for me. It doesn't matter too much. It's just you just send it to a lot of different people then. But there's also like there's two sides to this. If I do it like between 1 or even 3 people, you'll make some people very happy because it's a huge amount of money to win if you ask me. Then again, if you do it and split it over like 100 people, you're making a lot of people a little bit happy with their day. Remember guys, I started my entire crypto YouTube journey because I won like $20 or so. I'm not exactly sure how much I won. So I'm thinking if you just give somebody like $10, $20, could change their life around, just for the sake of you gifting them something. Which is why I sometimes think the more, the merrier in terms of how many people. But again, let me know in the comments down below what you think would be best. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.